Hello there and welcome back. It's been a minute since the last demo, but a lot of cool products are coming out. And today I'm really excited to introduce you to the new Polyend Synth. As the name says, it's a synth, but it has a fascinating concept. As you can see from the keypad here, there's three colors: blue, yellow and purple. This means that you have at the same time three different synthesizers. As you see in my little gem at the beginning, you can play them at the same time. And with the very smart way they put the control, it allows you to perform and actually have in front of you a full array of sound and instrument that is pretty interesting. It's one of the first actually synths that lately put the focus mainly on the sound design and the quality of sound. There's a way to sequence the sound, but it's very simple and basic. You have a sequencer like the 101 and an arpeggiator. They do cool stuff because you can then play those, as I was doing in the intro. But I guess this is an instrument that is made for the sound designer, for the people that really like to dig into the sound. It offers you 8 voices, which you can divide between the 3 synths, and it offers you 8 different synth engines. Basically, it covers everything from like subtractive synthesis to FM to granular synthesizing. So with this machine, you are able to produce any kind of sound you want, mostly. And it's not a sampler, but there's a grain engine that actually can load any of your sample through the SD card. Before going on, the usual way you can support my page, please hit the like button and subscribe to this page. You can buy from the affiliate link down below. You spend exactly the same amount of money, I get a tiny percentage, and you can become a Patreon. Patreon is growing, there's a lot of people, we are doing great there and have a lot of fun. And I reply to all of your questions, and all the demos and tutorial will be moved there soon. Down there, there's a link to Presave it. It's really important because, the algorithm will realize, hey, Oora is there, and so it will help to spread my music. And that would be the best things you can do for me now. Go click that link and pre-save my future release. Thank you. Let's go back to the Polyend Synth. This is the first concept. So you have a layout which you can change at any time pressing here in grid. So this is the Florida. Then you have 3 vertical, so 1, 2, 3. You can have also just the single synth. You can pick whatever you like. I don't know if in the future they will allow you to design your own layout, which will be fine. And the second interesting concept is the concept of scene. Basically, scene is the full saving of whatever happened with these 3 synths. So you would save all of your sound design, your sequencer, your effects, your mixing, and you can load it at any time. There's many synths made of very cool artists, I have to say. And so it's very interesting to dig into that, because you will see how other artists think, how other artists set up the machine to make it work for them. So these are the 2 concepts that I feel are new or are fresh: the scene and the fact that you have 3 synths in front of you all the time. So let's do a quick overview of the synth. You have a nice, beautiful screen there. Here you have all the knobs that change all the settings. You select with these 3 buttons the 3 different synths: blue, yellow, purple. You have volume, tempo and pitch bend here. Each of these knobs is touch sensitive, so you can see as soon as I touch it. And then you have these three controls, C1, C2, C3, that are macro. You can map, I think, 5 different parameters at the same time. And if you press any of the button here, or the track button, you can change with a twist of a knob all the parameter linked to all the synths. Pretty cool for performances. Here you get into the mixer, here you load the scene, and the screen button here get you into the setting. These are all the parameters, so you can change everything that happens. And here you select a different page of the parameter. You have the engine, ADSR, filter, LFO, sequencer, which is a arpeggiator and sequencer, and shift. With shift you go into the second page, which in this case is mod, and allow you to get into other pages. We'll see later. Then you have this grid of pads, which are velocity sensitive, and they have aftertouch, so they're pretty interesting. You can map parameter change to that. And that's it. This is the overview. Now, let's talk about this scene. What are these scenes? So, you press there and you can load them, right? But we do init. Whenever you init, you have this basic layout. 3 engines are loaded and are all the same. As I mentioned before, these are the acid engine. You can see ACD there, which is loosely based, not loosely, it's based on the Roland, I think, synthesizer 101, 303, that kind of stuff. The first things you want to do is pressing the screen button, and here you have all the possible setup for the scene. You press in synth, and here is where you can allocate your voices. So in this case, the blue has 1 voice, the yellow has 1 voice, and the purple has 4 voices. You can change these as much as you want. The other things you want to go is in grid. Grid is where you set up all of your template. And for each row here, select the mode of the synth. It could be note, so it can be chord, scale, and let's use this because this has 4 voices. So whenever, there it is, let's say chord scale. So another interesting thing is called chord pack. Chord pack is a series of chords that are being crafted to work well together. So each one has a different kind of vibe. And I think in the future you will be able to design your own chord pack, which is great because then you can have a series of chords that you can recall at any time. So let's go now into the juicy part, the engine. If you press Shift and Engine, you can go into the preset page. You can access the preset page even here. Here you can load different engine, the A8 engine I told you. Let's say ACD, I told you already, is the one based on the Roland synths. FAT is based on the kind of Moog sound. Wave is wavetable. VAP is virtual analog polyphonic synth. WTFM is wavetable FM synthesis, very nice one. PMD is physical modeling one. Phase distortion synthesizer. And then at the end, grain. I will go through them one by one at a certain moment. Let's say we want to try the FAT. So you press, now you can load all the different presets or save them if you have one, but you press init and now you have an init preset. So whenever you load that, you can go in the engine page. You will see here what page you are. Now we are in the engine oscillator page, and you, depending on the dots you see there, you can press and see the other pages. So let's say we are here. These are the settings. For fat, they're very simple. We have a fatness. And you have a visual representation of that, which is, I find this very nice. If you want to go an octave higher, you press the page and move the screen button. So now the second page of the oscillator gives you the glide time and the glide mode. This sounds a little like half extreme. Then you have the filter page, of course. Each synth has different filter types. So for example, this one has 3 different filters, which obviously are all low-pass filter because it's based on the subtractive synthesis, like Moog. Then you have your ADSR, which is, in this case, has 2 pages, one for the amp, which set your attack, decay, and release. The other one is for the filter. Everything is very well laid out in the screen, so it's really easy to go and do sound design. In LFO, usually you have 1 or 2 LFO, in this case just 1. And then on the mod page, you can select the mod. In this case, you have just 2 simple destinations. Whenever you want to work on another synth, you have to just remember to change it. Maybe I would kinda love to have a modality in which when I play a synth, automatically this page changes. Because sometimes you are in a synth and you start mangling things and you forget, oh, I have to move. Obviously, all the graphic change color, so it's easy. So for example, the acid one, it has a saw, a square, and a sub, basically like a 303 or like a 101. And it sounds really good. Filter has, again, only low pass. Let's change it, let's go something different. So let's set a wave, for example. If you press init here, it will load a clean slate. Here you set the wavetable that you want. You have 2 wavetable. And then you can add this retro, change the position, and mix the 2 wavetable. This is all modulable with the mod. You can warp. It's very nice to see what's happened because it gives you a very nice idea of what you are doing. Let's move to this guy and let's use, for example, one that I really, really like is the physical modeling one. So let's init. This one, the physical modeling, basically try to mimic acoustic instrument, how acoustic instrument works. So there's something that creates the sound, something that is called the exciter, which is in this case is in the engine page. And then there's the resonator part, which is in this case in the filter. So as you see, each page has different function. For example, this one has 3 exciter. One is the bow, so when you like play a violin or a cello. Air level is when you excite something through the air, and strike is when you use like a mallet. So you can mix those. In this case, there's just the mallet going on. But you can mix different things. This now it's the flow, which is very nice. And then in filter, you decide how this sound resonates. This is great because it reminds me of a module that I love, rings, mutable instrument rings, which allows you to create very interesting sound. And at the same moment here, now you have 3 different, very different sound. One cool thing is like if you press shift, and one of the notes, it will sustain the note. This allows you to create interesting stuff because they can go forever. And you can remove and add more stuff. So it's a very interesting way to perform. Press twice and it cancels everything. And I want to talk a second about the sequencer. When you press the sequencer, you go in the first page, which is sequencer off. The second page is arpeggiator. So this synth doesn't have a play or stop button. It's just like the moment you press the pad, it goes. So you can set the tempo here, or of course it can be tempo synced with, via MIDI. But with Shift, you can lock your arpeggiation. And then you have a few interesting ways. You have swing, the type of the arpeggiation, the groove, and you can see by the dot there if it skip or change the groove of the arpeggiation, humanize that had some imperfection, the rate, the gate that make the sound longer, and the octave range. And this is cool because at any time you can press Shift and add something, remove something. Let's go one octave lower. Now it's time to talk about the mixer part. The mixer page has two pages. One where you set up the volume, without distorting maybe, the pan, and the last here, it's a cross modulation between effects. The second page is the synths. You have three effects chain. One is called mod, like the modulation kind, chorusy, flangery kind of stuff. Delay, which different delay engine, and reverb with different algorithm. So let's listen. So let's send this one first to the mod. You arrive to the 0, and then 0 dB is like unity, and then it kind of pump the volume. To go in the effect page, you press Shift and Mixer. So, and you rotate between the different effects. So now we are in mod. You have the different model. Stereo and dual. Very nice. Let's listen now to the delay, but let's send sound. So delay can be single, dual tap, triple tap, stereo, and ping pong. Let's just start with the single and let's put a dotted 8. It can be tempo synced, which is then everything is automatically synced, or off, if you're brave. The delay can have some flutter. If you hear some click, it's because I'm doing the demo with a pre-production machine, so whatever you hear that doesn't sound correct is because this is still a pre-production. And you have a filter on it. Very nice. Let's now listen to the reverb. I really like how the reverb sound. You have different model, one called natural, which probably gonna be a room kind of sound. There's all the classic setting for a reverb. Then we have the plate. And warp, which is like a long tail delay. I really like how the effects sound. So one way that I love to perform with the synth is just bring in different notes and have something going on and play with the other. Super nice. I love this idea of shift and have an evolving pattern. Now that we know how to make the sound nicer with some effects, let's go in the second page of the sequencer. So this works in a very peculiar way. It's similar to the sequencer on the 101, which you put the notes one after another and you can put the pause and then you just play it. There's no way to go back. It's something that you need to get used to it, but it's really, really nice. So how does it work? You rotate this until you go in the recording page. Now, whatever note you will play is going to be recorded into the buffer. So let's put something down. As soon as I press, one note is there. If I press Shift, I will have a pause. Whenever I'm ready with my sequence, I just turn this, and now if I press a note, the sequence will go. If I want to hold on this, as usual, press Shift, you do a little press, and that's it. Even in this case, you have the swing, the groove, which is a nice way to put something down and have it mangled, humanize, and then rate. Again, it's nice to add some At any moment, you can actually transpose the entire sequence. One cool thing is, like, if we set a note with Shift that it goes and I press another, it transposes, but the moment I lift my finger, it goes back. So this is very performative friendly. So now let's just use this arpeggio and let's go through all the engine very quickly so you have an idea on how these things sound. So, Shift, Engine. Let's start with acid again, Init. And I will just move into that and give you an idea. You have a sub that you can mix in. With this one you can go in like your acid, of course, knowing the name, direction. I will just go through the engine and filter. All the modulation can be really complex and very interesting, but it will take too much for me to show you. So just listen to the sound of it. This is the acid. Let's go now on the fat. Easy, where you detune the tree oscillator and create the fat sound. I like also the glide is very nice. Let's now go into wafts. This is very hard to show because there's so many things you can do. You can load your own wavetable. And then here you have a lot of filters. See how many? You have low pass, band pass, high pass. Let's listen now to virtual, and let's change make things a little. Here you have two different morphing waves that goes, let's for example use only one, that goes from triangle to square, and you can mix them. Even in this case, if you don't know a lot about synthesis, it's great because you see what happened in the screen. And then you have pulse width modulation for each, and you can tune them. This is a very nice one. Add some effects. It's very nice. And then filter, in this case too, you have a lot of different, like before. New engine. Let's load the wavetable FM. This one works as FM synthesis, but with wavetable. And I don't know anything about wavetable FM, but it's how this one is very easy to use. So you have the two operator that works, and through feedback and how they interact with each other, you create interesting sound. Nice. I find it very nice the fact that you can see what's happening there. So even if you don't know what you're doing, at least you can see it. Another engine. Physical modeling. I particularly love this one. Because you can get into this nice thing. And I think it's a lot of fun having this physical modeling stuff at your fingertip with other kind of sound. It adds a lot. Alright, this one is the more obscure to me. I never use this kind of synthesis. It's called phase distortion. But again, with the fact that you can see, it's based on a XY modular matrix which you can move into, and of course with the modulation. Here you have a lot of modulation. This one has a lot of modulation. And filtering, again, has a lot. And then, let's go to the last one, which is one of my favorites. It's grain. Grain loads here any sample that you put. And then it's basically a granular synth. Now for this one, let's just play because otherwise we'll be... Let's turn off the arpeggiator. Here you have like the different position, the spread of the granules, the grain size. So if you know granular synthesis, you know what I'm talking about. And it's a very capable granular synth. Very simple to use. This works really well for texture. So now that we cover everything very quickly, I want to just go through 6 scenes that I just made before of this video to show you some ideas. So let's load from simple one, like number 1. Here I have a bass, a sequence here, and a way to play on top of it. So how would I use this scene? Like this. I could have this going on, and then I could introduce the bass and play. At any time, I could transpose these two. And then I remove that. Super simple. This was the most basic one. Let's load another one. Here I have a very nice sound make with the grain. It's a sort of ethereal pad. Here I created something with the sequencer using the physical modeling. So I create a sort of percussion element. So I can have that going, bring in this, and here perform on top. I have here an acid machine with a sequencer going on, and an LFO that opens and closes the filter. Here I could be on the mixer page, for example, and play with that. So this could be a very deep, interesting one. Let's load another one. What I have here? This is the one that I play at the beginning. Let's go through that. So on the blue one, I have these chords, which I sequenced. Here I have another acid. I like the acid one. With another, in this case is another sequence. But I can play around, and since it's all quantized to a scale, it sounds great. And here I have a granular synth. I started with this preset called Whimsical Girl and modify it, which sounds amazing. This sounds really nice. Let's go to number 4. What is this? This is a sort of ambient. This is another idea on how you can use this guy. Basically, you can have pads going on, and you can add one note at a time. So let's start. So shift. I had this one, which is a wavetable FM. Then I can add another note. This one is a phase distortion synth. And then maybe I keep the last one, which I think is a physical modeling. To just play. And I can always change like that. I'm a little distorting. Yeah, it was too loud. And what I find interesting here is, like, if you take it slow, you can create different harmonic progression by just modifying the different notes that are put down, and then you reserve one of the synth play on top. So this is a very nice way to use it. Let's go to the fifth one. This is a nice one, and this I will use it to show you the last interesting things, the macro function. So here I have this synth going like this with sequence, this one, and this one. Let's pump the level of this one. So there are different length of sequences that create this sort of polyrhythmical vibe. So now I place them down. What I did here, I went into the macros page, and you can set, as you can see, 3 different settings, one for each, and you do it for instruments. So these 3 macros works differently for each instrument, but when you press one button, well, the 3 button, for example, move this, I set up C1 to open the filter of all of the synths, and C2 the release. So this is a great way to have something like that and then mangle everything. It's complex what you can do, so for now just trust me. You can just very simply, I show you how it works, just very fast. You select the synth you want. For example, now we are in the blue. So we go here, we press macros, we select the one that we want to use. Let's use 3. Here you see all the mapped thing. You can delete it very easily. So as you can see, you have 5 slots. You press the slot and say select parameter. And now, whatever you do, here it is. Now I map the filter cutoff. You set the percentage. And now, this modify that. And I can add 5 different settings. So it's pretty powerful what it can do. All right, the last scene, and then we close this video because it's going to be long. Is that? No. What is this last one? Here I create a dub stuff. It's very good to do dubby things. This sounds proper. Here I create another layer with the physical modeling. This is a virtual analog. And then I have a bass. And that's about it for today. Lot of things to cover. More video will come, and I'm sure I will do a full video in which I will just perform with the synth, which I think is the focus, the aim that they had in their mind, a performative instrument. Well, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.